What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a great day. Hope you all have had a great week as we're finally to the weekend. Definitely ready to enjoy it, as I'm sure it'll be over in the snap of a finger. So there's still some things to talk about. The tropics are still fired up right now. The potential is there still, and for us to still get a tropical depression out of Invest 90L. And the potential is still there for it to become Anna, a subtropical storm Anna, our first named storm of the year. We're also talking about an area of interest, 91L, Invest 91L, that's in the Gulf of Mexico, right off the southeast coast of Texas. And that is going to disrupt weather in the Texas area. So we're going to talk about that and talk about how much it could develop and affect the lower 48. So we're going to break all that down for you guys. If you all have not subscribed, definitely hit subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notifications bell if you want to stay up to date with my videos. The growth is slow, but it's starting to pick up a little bit. As you can tell, I'm at I'm not quite at 4,000 subscribers, but I'm getting closer. I'd like to get there maybe by the end of June. That would be great. But thank y'all for y'all's incredible support, and like the video if you like it, and definitely hit the subscribe button. Hurricane season is going to ramp up soon as it starts June 1st officially. So let's get going here. So right now, I think this is upgraded. I actually think it's upgraded to a more of a downgraded scenario. I think there's a 40% chance of development now. Maybe if I refresh my screen right here, it'll say something different. Let's check this really quick. No, it hasn't. But I think this is downgraded to a 40% chance of development. Either way, the worst case scenario, I think, with this thing in the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to talk more on it, is and basically what it is it's a stalled out energy from the tail end of a cold front on the bottom, the southern end of a cold front that's stalled out in the Gulf of Mexico, and kind of hitting an abrupt stop because of the ridge of high pressure over the southeast. So you got a bunch of energy that got caught up in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's got a little bit of a spin to it. This happens a lot, especially early in hurricane season often. You also got this area right here that still has a chance to go to a tropical storm. It's still tracking southwest. We're going to show a little bit here in a second, but it still has a chance to become a subtropical storm and still work its way into more favorable conditions. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look. This is Invest 90L. It's got a spin. Check out the mid-level spin to it. But it's not like it's a strong tropical storm or a hurricane or anything like that. So it doesn't have much of a closed circulation. There is some convection starting to blow up way out here. But as you can tell, the motion is still this way. So that's southwest. So it's still kind of working its way into warmer waters. So it still has a chance, and it likely will form into a depression, a tropical depression, and maybe a very weak tropical storm. It has a chance to form into that. But it's still trying to get its stuff together here. But we also have this energy in the Gulf of Mexico, right off the coast of Texas and Louisiana. Notice you don't really physically see the spin, but you can see convection blowing up in the Gulf of Mexico as they're starting to get a little bit of spin to the atmosphere. Now you have a little bit of dry air and shear kind of working its way down here, so you have to watch out for that, because that's really going to be a preventing factor. Sorry guys, my little girl busted right in the middle of the video. So if you caught the tail end of the last clip, me turning my head at her, that was me talking to her really quick. But check it out. This is another good satellite imagery of what's going on here, and it does a good idea. You see a bunch of dry air a little bit further in central and western Texas, and see how it's kind of wrapping around to the circulation. You got some shear right here too. Hurricanes do not like shear. Tropical systems do not like shear. This is not a hurricane. That's not what I meant. But y'all get the point here. But notice there's plenty of moisture kind of on top of this, and more on the on top of the storm, and more on the eastern and northeastern sides. But it's kind of working with some dry air on this side. Also, another thing that's not favorable here at all, really, is the sea surface temps. This is kind of where this system is at. You got 25 to 26 degrees Celsius. You convert that to Fahrenheit, and that's about sea surface temperatures in the upper 70s. Sometimes you can work with that. If this was forming in maybe July, late June, July, then the Gulf of Mexico would probably be it would be much warmer here. Then we might have a little bit something else to work with here if some other factors were in place too, like light shear, marginal shear, and things like that. But upper 70s, that's not favorable for tropical development. Also, this thing's just flat out running out of time. It's just pretty much marching its way where it can. It's between an upper ridge and it's between a trough right here. But as we're working our way forward here, this is shear. So I'm going to talk about shear a lot in hurricane season. Kind of the areas where you see the reds, more oranges and yellows, that's where you have more high shear in place. The areas where you kind of see almost the white, then gray, then bluish, and then it starts to, basically this is the chart over here, if you kind of get what I'm saying. So basically the higher you get up in these colors, the more strong shear is in place. Shear tends to rip tropical systems apart. So this is kind of where our system is right into here, right here. So on the side where you have plenty of moisture, basically on its north to northeast, the east side of the system, you have some more favorable conditions. But more on the west, the southwest side, you have shear and you have dry air in place. And that doesn't work well with tropical systems. That's why it's kind of just a depleted looking system. It doesn't look like much of anything on satellite imagery and things like that. But there's still a little bit of moderate shear right here. And like I said, it's just kind of running out of time. This thing is kind of working its way through between an upper ridge and basically a trough right here, and it's kind of squeezing in between that. So, you know, it's just kind of working its way through what it's got. You don't even really notice it really on the GFS. I don't even know where I'm really showing this because it just basically shows a blob of green, a blob of moisture. But this is really going to be the main threat with this system for sure. Is more rain for areas that really don't need any more rain. This is going to cause localized flooding around Houston and areas points north. It's not going to drop. I don't think it's going to drop anything like 5 or 6 inches of rain, but there's going to be a few inches of rain in and around Houston, just north of Houston, in eastern Texas, as most of the moisture associated with the center of circulation is all on the north side and northeast side and things like that. There's not much on the actual kind of the south end, the southwest, the western sides of the storm, as I just showed you. So that's pretty much the biggest threat with this. What you got going on here as far as like pattern-wise and the steering currents is here's what could be our potential tropical depression, or likely our tropical depression, and potentially our subtropical storm Anna. And here's kind of our system down here in the Gulf of Mexico. This is a huge upper ridge that's built over the eastern U.S. It's going to start heating us up big time over this weekend. And here's a big old trough. So this little system kind of squeezes in between that. This is kind of a good visual of what's going on, what's steering this thing. This system right here is going to come to a halt and stop drifting southwest, and it's going to start to go right back where it was. And it's going to get kind of kicked up or picked up by a trough and kind of merge with it, moving on out of here. So that's all I got, guys. Honestly, is this a precursor to an active hurricane season? I would say potentially yes. It tends to be quiet in June, it seems like a lot. It seems like we always get a quick burst and then it levels out through June, and then July it starts to pick back up. That's kind of what it did last year. But as I mentioned, the Hurricane Center is predicting a more active than normal hurricane season with 13 to 20 named storms potentially. I don't have as far as like hurricanes and major hurricanes memorized in my head. But I'd tell you what, the predicted amount of storms is actually a tick higher than last year. And we all know what happened last year. And this doesn't necessarily mean anything, but we'll continue to watch this. I don't think either one of these systems are going to do, I know this one's not going to do much of anything but bring some high waves and some big time, some rip currents to the East Coast. That's about it. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a great start to your weekend.